Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
Happy birthday to us. It's 2 years, Sam, since we started doing this podcast.
Ew. No, it's great. It doesn't feel like 2 years.
No, our little child here is all grown up. Should be, at this point, talking, walking, doing all those
Toddling
things.
around.
Yeah.
Eating solid food. Going to the toilet. Maybe not going to the toilet, actually. I'm not really sure how toddlers do it.
Yeah, as two non-parents, we don't really know what 2-year-olds should be doing other than, I believe, talking and walking are, like, they should be doing those things. But yeah, our little podcast here is 2
Wearing
years
little
old.
shoes.
I mean,
That would be cute.
they're probably doing that earlier.
They light up.
Oh, some light-up
Yeah.
shoes?
Uh-huh.
Now I'm just imagining our Commitment logo monster walking around with, like, no legs, but just, like, shoes on the bottom of his little face going blop, 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 blop.
Light up ones, right?
Yeah.
Remember those shoes that had the goo in them? That you'd push the toe
Yeah.
in the goo? I had those when I was a kid.
Do you have
Those were dope.
Yeah, I don't even think I ever had light up shoes, but I was always jealous of all the kids who had light up shoes. Like, I think still to this day, if I see kids with light up shoes, like, at the mall, I'm like, man, I kind of want those.
I agree with that. When I was a kid, light up shoes were too ostentatious for me. I liked the goo shoes. And
You're
was all I
not a
needed.
flashy kid.
The problem with the goo shoes, though, in the winter, they don't work so good.
'Cause it
they
freezes.
don't goo at all because they just freeze. Yeah. Anyway, it's our birthday.
Or our anniversary. One of those two. Whichever one you wanna do.
They're both cute. I kind of like anniversary a little bit better because I feel like by our 10th anniversary, that's the tin one. We'll be giving each other
Gold
other
watches.
jewelry. Yeah. We'll be on a Ferris wheel together, looking out at the lights,
Ooh.
thinking.
Where
Just
are we in
thinking.
this scenario?
Well, anywhere with a Ferris wheel. A fair, Paris,
Ooh.
France. London has a really big one.
Well, it's the cotton anniversary, Sam. This
I thought
2
tin
years.
was tin. This is
No,
cotton.
I'm talking about currently we are celebrating the cotton anniversary.
That's why you're
2
wearing
years.
a nice cotton t-shirt.
Exactly. Purposefully chose a t-shirt today.
Muppets are made of cotton.
Is fleece cotton?
Nah, probably not. It's
probably polyester.
I think it's polyester. Yeah, it could be a blend.
I don't know, I'm trying to picture Wontkins on fire, and I'm like, would he have burned worse if that was cotton?
I think so. Yeah.
Much like children, I don't know a lot about, like, fabric.
I think he would have burned safer. I think he wouldn't have melted to your hand. I think he could have really patted him out a little bit.
The chemicals he shot out when he was burned would have been less carcinogenic.
Totally, yeah.
Sam, I learned a weird fun fact this week in my research that I don't know what to do with this information. It's not. I'm sure
Is
a lot
lewd?
of. It's not lewd.
Okay.
I'm sure other Muppet podcast or fans or whoever know this. I did not realize this until this week. But I was looking into the Henson kids, and I found out that Brian Henson is married to Mia Sarah, who played Sloane in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They've been married since like 2010. They have a kiddo. I never have thought about the Henson kids and who they could potentially be married to.
I have never either, but that's unexpected. Also, hubba, right? Come on.
Yeah, Sloane was definitely one of those childhood crushes for me, watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But now I'm realizing I should have, looked into all the other Henson kids and seen who they were married to, because maybe they're married to other famous people. But I didn't go that far. I found this one fun fact and was like, well, that's interesting enough to tell Sam.
She was in a movie directed by him, Jack and the Beanstalk, The Real Story. Oh, it's a modern day retelling of Jack and the Beanstalk. And she plays
Okay.
a mysterious woman attempting to bring justice for the murder of the giant.
Wow. We're going to have to watch this at some
I
point.
think we maybe will.
Was it like a Henson Creature Shop thing?
Oh, it's Jim Henson's Jack and the Beanstalk, the real story.
All right. Well,
Wow.
we
I think
will have to watch
we'll
that at some
probably
point.
have to watch it. Yeah, Bill Beretta plays the giant
all right.
who's murdered.
Oh, yeah. Jack has a giant skeleton in his closet. I'm looking at a picture.
Yeah, there's Creature Shop stuff in here.
Well, we'll give that a watch at some point. I don't know if we'll wait until we hit 2001 or if it'll be a weird bonus birthday episode. Well, that's my Muppet fun fact of the day, Sam. A segment that will probably never come back. But,
Oh, much like Matt's pissed corner.
hey, that'll come back if Ruggable decides it can come back and sponsors us.
Matt's been holding in his piss for a long time. He's waiting him out. They're getting worried about him.
I also just don't know that I've been that angry in a while, so I feel like Matt's Pissed Corner can't come back until I'm genuinely angry.
Honestly, I don't even remember what you were angry about the first time.
Neither do I.
It's been 2 years.
Maybe I wasn't even that actually angry. Maybe I was trying to pretend to be angry because I was young and naive
Yeah.
and just an opinionated podcaster.
You were doing it for the cheap
Yeah.
analytics.
Now I'm just a calm 35-year-old man who really has no strong opinions on much.
That's not true.
Yeah, it's not true at all because I have very strong opinions, and one of them being excitement. That's my feeling and opinion of the day.
Okay. I don't think that's an opinion, but okay.
Because we found so many new Jimmy Deans to watch, and I did the math. There is 85 total episodes of Jimmy Dean with Rowlf.
Mm-hmm.
We have now seen 49 of the 85.
Wow.
So about 58% of all Jimmy Dean and Rowlf segments we have now seen.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty good amount. Obviously, I wouldn't mind seeing the other 36, but we're doing
Is
pretty
the
good.
assumption that they all exist somewhere?
I
Or-
believe so, because I think previously the Jimmy Dean Show was released on DVD, I think like in a best of seasons, etc., kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to imagine that there's more out there in that form. And then if you look up, some of the clips we watched today have a little watermark on them from a TV station or like an online TV station where you could stream them.
RSGTV?
Yeah.
That one? Yeah.
And so for a while you could stream it on that platform. It is no longer on that platform. So I have no idea if they had, 10 episodes, if they had 85 episodes, whatever they had. But it is no longer streaming on there as far as I could tell. So there's no legal way to find full episodes of the Jimmy Dean Show anywhere that I can see.
Okay.
And we were just, we were blessed by an uploader on YouTube in the past few months who just decided to upload 7 full episodes of the show. And yeah. That's
What a weird decision to make.
I mean, but I'm eternally grateful that they,
Yeah, no judgment,
they chose to
but-
do this.
Who's sitting around thinking, I think I'll rip those off of this streaming service and post them on YouTube for everyone to enjoy this show from 1964.
I mean, it's obviously Country Music World Planet, Sam.
Bless them for that name also.
Yeah.
They're making a lot of weird decisions over at Country Music World Planet channel.
Country Music World Planet channel. Well, obviously, we're going to be talking about a lot of Jimmy Dean today. But Sam, tell the people what all we watched.
First, we warp way back to the beginning, September 29th of 1961, for an episode of Sam and Friends, wherein Harry announces that he started a new weather show, The Weather Warehouse. When Kermit tells him that their station already has a weather forecasting show, Harry tells him that he's not forecasting the weather, he's selling weather. He then proceeds to show Kermit around the warehouse, opening crates full of snowstorms and rain and even an earthquake. Next up, we watched a run of the Jimmy Dean Show Rowlf segments spanning 1964 and 1965. And folks, Rowlf's up to his old tricks again. This fool's making a cake for Lassie's birthday, prepping for a date with Lassie, becoming an honorary Native American, learning how to be a country star, acting like a real dog, reading comic books, having a birthday, opening a discotheque, becoming a spy, winning a prestigious award, and planning a New Year's Eve party. And most importantly, he's hanging out with his best friend Jimmy. However, flash forward to 1969, the Jimmy Dean show is canceled. Our Place didn't work out, so Rowlf finds himself taking for-hire work, making films for the highest bidder, no matter how degrading and strange they may be. And nothing could be more degrading and strange than The Rowlfin, a film made for IBM to be, I assume, shown at some sort of like summit or to break up boring training sessions or something. And it's the sort of thing where you leave the conference room and you whisper to your coworker friend, the corporate won't pay us more, but they'll spend money on that kind of thing. It's an homage to, is kind of, it's a ripoff of Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, which was, I believe, in its third season around this time. And much like that show, it features rapid-fire gags, running jokes, and a modern avant-garde sensibility. Unlike Laugh-In, it is completely devoid of charisma to the point of being sort of uncanny and scary. I don't really actually know how to describe it very well because it's just a bunch of skits that are all like 5 seconds long.
Imagine an episode of Mad Men where after they said a slightly clever line, they stared at the camera and waited for you to laugh. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
We're just like, I don't know what to do now. I'm uncomfortable. Stop looking at me.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is just like totally benign scenes from an office where they're speaking jargon. You don't know what they're saying. It's like watching Aliens, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just
it
like,
feels like you're in a room where it's like a Mandela effect thing, where you're in a room where everyone saw a movie that you've never heard of and didn't know existed. And they're all talking about it and saying like, oh my God, isn't it great? Haven't you seen that? And you're just like, I think I'm supposed to say yes.
And then they stare at you.
Yeah, they stare at you for a really long time and they don't blink.
So I don't know how to talk about it. We'll talk about it more when we get to it, but there are lots of close-ups of sweaty, uncomfortable-looking executives, so that's an important thing to keep in mind. Then we watched a bunch of little short things, 2 public television PSAs from the 70s, one with the Country Trio singing a song about how you should donate to public television so kids can keep learning, and another with Kermit saying that you should donate to public television because Cookie Monster eats tens of thousands of dollars of filming equipment every day. Then we watched a segment from the September 17th, 1970 episode of The Flip Wilson Show, where Flip comes across Oscar the Grouch hanging out in a trash can and ends up confiding in him that he actually likes trash quite a bit too. So they sing I Love Trash together, and Oscar makes a friend for the first time in his damn life. It's pretty cute. He's like, hey, Flip, you should come hang out with me more often, which is nice. Another Flip Wilson from November 11th, 1971, wherein Flip and Dom DeLuise help a drunk Muppet lose his hiccups. And finally, from April 17th, 1973, the Country Trio are on the Dick Cavett Show. They sing a song followed by a brief interview and another classic Jerry Nelson is the shyest man on planet Earth moment. And I've asked for what happened during this time period. A huge chunk of human history.
Yeah. You know, everything that happened from 1961 to 1973, which was probably a lot.
The most stuff that happened in any decade ever, possibly.
Well, starting off with September 29th, 1961, we did get to watch a Sam and Friends, which feels like, you know, we came across like an archaeological dig site and we're like, oh, another one. Because there's like,
that was amazing. Where did this come from?
Well, we have a very nice friend of the podcast, Shane, who is, you know, he's out there doing the good work on YouTube, searching through, you know, I think every single day he is looking at YouTube, look for the word Muppet or Sesame
Much like
Street.
an archaeologist, you get the big bucket of dirt.
Yeah.
All the dirt is everything else on YouTube. The little, the little shard of glass is the Sam and Friends.
Mm-hmm. And so he's out there sifting every single day, looking for new Muppet stuff. And over on our Patreon-only Discord, we have a channel on there called Newly Found Clips for just this sort of thing. And he has posted a lot of the things that we are watching today come from him hunting them down. So big thanks to him for finding these things. And we have a brand new Sam and Friends to watch that we have not previously seen. And, you know, when there's only whatever 15 of these things, whatever, out there in the world to watch, and we have seen, I think, all of them, maybe one or two we haven't been able to track down yet. I know they showed a new one at the book event last year in New York that is a weird animated one that doesn't even include puppets, but technically is a Sam and Friends bit. That one is not online to view, so we haven't seen the Miss Cone one, but every other one I believe we've been able to track down, so kind of wild. But this one is Weather Warehouse. it was really nice to hear that old Sam and Friends, brought to you by SK.
Brought me way back, Matt, to episode 1.
Well,
No, episode 2.
technically, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
We started off with that SEO Muppet movie episode.
Yeah. I don't even remember why we did that.
I think purely because we were like, no one's going to listen to a Sam and
No
Friends
one
episode
cares.
of a podcast.
Yeah, that's true. And I loved that it was an episode where the characters were being themselves. I feel like we didn't get very many of those when we watched all the Sam and Friends.
Yeah,
Maybe there were more than I thought, but
we got a lot of lip syncing done, or where they were playing characters in a sketch. But this was just Harry the Hipster trying to sell some weather to Kermit the Frog, much like Grover will do 15 years later on Sesame Street.
Oh, well, you can't let a good idea go to waste.
Yeah, we saw that in season 7 of Sesame Street, where Grover shows up as the salesman to sell weather to Kermit at his weird little apartment he has on Sesame Street.
It's only weird because it's so normal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not like a lily pad in a pond. It's just a weird 70s apartment.
Yeah.
But yeah, this does feel like that sort of thing where you can't let a good idea go to waste. And I feel like a few times throughout these Jimmy Dean and Rowlf sketches too, where I'm like, we saw a version of this in another Jimmy Dean and Rowlf thing at times. And it's just that like they thought it was funny, so they kept doing it.
It's hard to keep track. And also, no VCRs back then. No one's going to tape it and be like, hey, you guys already done this.
Yeah, 60 years from now, someone's going to do a podcast about this.
They'll get one letter from like a very sad person who's like, excuse me, Mr. Dean, in episode 4 of season 3, you already had Rowlf. I think that Rowlf said that he had 2 cousins, and in this episode he said he had 3 cousins. So,
and I believe he already blew out his belly button once before. How did you repair Ralph's belly button?
Are we to believe that Rowlf can put his belly button back in after he blows it out?
They do allude multiple times throughout this batch that there are letters coming in asking lots of questions about Rowlf and about his
true, yeah.
his
So there
dogness.
are actually a lot of these people. Yeah.
So there are people being like, okay, you're telling me he's a real dog? Prove it. I don't believe you, Jimmy
People
Dean.
back then had never seen a puppet before. They were really confused, okay? That is a crazy thing to write on. I assume a lot of them were children.
One would hope.
Yeah. Just like a very scared man who's like, huh, dogs can talk. I think it's actually satanic that your dog is talking and he needs to bark like a good
Jimmy Dean, I
American
thought
dog.
you were a man of God and you bring this heathen onto your show.
Yeah, this abomination.
This hell beast.
They got at least one of those, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe one of the episodes we didn't watch is Rowlf pretending to be the devil incarnate.
Yeah, Rowlf worships Satan. Rowlf joins the Church of Satan.
Jimmy has to save his soul. The baptism of Rowlf episode.
But then by the end, Jimmy would be like, well, actually, you know what, Rowlf? I think Church of Satan has some pretty good things to say. Do as thou wilt. All right. I like that.
I could see Jimmy Dean accidentally becoming a Satanist.
He's just a really nice guy.
He just happened, like he's talking to Roger Miller or whoever, and Roger Miller starts spouting off, and he's like,
Roger Miller's definitely a Satanist, first of all.
that feels like libel, but
He's dead, right?
I mean, is there still, I think there's like a defamation thing.
I learned this from Spider-Man. You can't.
Oh, please continue.
From the Spider-Man movie, when J. Jonah Jameson says you can't libel dead people or whatever.
Are we going to trust?
I've never bothered to look it up, but Sam Raimi wouldn't lie to me.
No. Well, wrapping up the Sam and Friends Weather Warehouse, there is a bit at the very, very end that got me, which is Harry the Hipster ending it with, "That's squall, folks."
And then it plays the Looney Tunes song.
They didn't give a shit about
That was
copyright back then. They were like, oh, you're going to get us for 5 seconds on Washington, D.C. TV?
Yeah. 15,000 people saw this once and it's never going to air again. What are you going to do? You're going to ask us to give you the tape? No fucking way. We're going to throw it in the trash. Yeah, Kermit does a few things also that are very Kermity. He says, sheesh.
Yeah, I thought the same
Sheesh.
thing.
And then he scrunches too, like a bunch of times whenever bad things are happening to him.
Yeah, the sheesh felt very much of like, oh, that's still Kermit. Like today, 60 years later, that still feels like Kermit to me.
Yeah, I feel like last time we saw this Kermit, we were seeing the SK Meat commercials where he was, and the Tales of Tinker D, where he's a little bit more of a trickster. But in this one, Harry's the trickster, and he is much more the Kermit. Like, this could have been in the Muppet Show, and
Right.
Gonzo could have brought in crates of weather and been like, check this out, Kermit. And Kermit would be like, you idiot. Kermit was definitely in you idiot mode in this, and I liked it.
Yeah, as opposed to also from this era when we saw the Ed Sullivan version of visual thinking where they tried to make Kermit cool.
God.
And he tried to be the hipster.
Yeah.
That's one of the...
Kermit looks back on that and cringes. He's like, I was wearing that red sweater sweater moment I went through. Not my best time.
He really thought he could pull it off, though.
Yeah.
Well, even thinking
He's a
that one, he
scarf
might be wearing
man.
an ascot or something.
Yeah, you're probably
he's just
right.
kind of cool in that one.
Yeah.
But his performance is not cool.
No, he can't be cool. Jim can't really be that cool. I guess he's pretty cool when he's Harry. And he's pretty cool when he's Dr. Teeth, too. So maybe he is cool. You just can't be cool and be doing that voice.
Hey, ladies, how's it going today?
But he does do that all the time. And it works. You can be sexy and do that voice. You just can't be cool.
You have to be nude. You have to be a nude frog and walk
it
up and
helps
be like, hello.
Helps if your penis is out, for sure.
This is not dating advice from Commitment, by the way.
No. Only if you're a frog.
Yeah.
Like Crazy Frog. That's why people think he's so sexy. Because his penis is out all the time.
I forgot people think he's sexy. I forgot that
Yeah.
part of the zeitgeist back then in the late 90s when everyone was obsessed with wanting to bone Crazy Frog.
Yeah. We all had Crazy Frog fever.
I think we've definitely talked more than enough about Crazy Frog, and it's time to talk about our old pal Rowlf.
Rowlf. You think that Jim was mad that Jimmy wouldn't pronounce his name right?
Maybe Jim was all right since it was the southern accent. He felt like he was at home.
Rolf is a better name than Ralph.
Oh,
Though.
100%.
Rolf.
Ralph's just a man. Rolf is an idea. But on March 26th, 1964 is the first of the Jimmy Dean episodes we were able to watch this time. Again, we did a whole Rowlf spectacular back in one of our earliest episodes where we watched, I don't know, like 30-some Jimmy Dean Rowlf segments and talked about them. So if you want to hear us talk more in depth about those, you can. But yeah, the Jimmy Dean show started in September 1963. And Rowlf was there from pretty much the very start. He came out as a guest star in the second episode, and everyone loved him so much that Jimmy Dean was like, okay, you're going to be here forever now.
And they did a whole thing about, like a whole episode where they were like, the consider yourself at home thing, right?
Yeah.
Inducting him into the cast. And I'm sure all the other people in the cast were like, are you fucking serious? This dog's more famous than I am?
There was moments throughout this where it was nice because you would see the intro of an episode and they would be like, and Jimmy's old pal Rowlf.
Uh-huh.
But then what I was surprised by when watching I didn't watch any of the full episodes of these things, but I watched more than just the Rowlf segments to like get a vibe of what this show was. And I was a little taken aback at how sincere Jimmy Dean would get at times and like how we've just seen the joking, losing his shit Rowlf moments of Jimmy Dean. And then it would cut to Jimmy Dean introducing an opera singer or something like that, and he's like, well, I don't know about this, but I can't think of enough nice words to say about this lady. She's one of the best human beings I've ever met. And you're just like, oh, okay, you were just farting around with a puppet over there. And like now you're like, oh man, here's a real great human being. And you're just like,
there are a lot of moments. I did the same thing, and there's a lot of moments where it does seem like he's very serious about country music and just like preserving it and sharing it with people and sharing. He's like the Carson Daly of his time.
But okay, you're talking like 2001 Carson Daly?
Carson Daly, when he was standing up and he was doing Total Request Live, and he was like, stoked to be here, stoked to have Sugar Ray. Come on out, Sugar Ray.
Yeah.
That Carson Daly.
Okay.
I can't think of enough nice things to say about Sugar Ray.
I bet you can't think of one more thing to say about Sugar Ray in this bit.
Mark Johnson. What's his name?
McGrath.
Mark McGrath.
Yeah.
I kind of like Sugar. I like Sugar Ray's hits. They're fun.
Have you listened to early Sugar Ray?
Were they like a new metal band or something?
Kinda, yeah. They kind of sound Papa Roachy.
Yeah, you've told me that before.
Probably. Anytime somebody brings up Sugar Ray, I got like two things to say about them. One is, have you heard their early stuff? I'm not saying it's great, but it's different. And two, Mark McGrath still, I might have even talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Where he said one of my favorite things ever when I was listening to Sirius XM radio one time, and he was hosting a nostalgic radio show about the early 2000s. And he just started, I think, to kind of lose it. And he was like, but what do I know? You're listening to a 50-year-old man sitting in his closet talking about music he made when he was 25 years old. So here's the next song.
I only listen to Sirius XM when I'm at the grocery store at Orange Street Food Farm. And you would be, even, I have barely listened to any of it. You'd be surprised how many times I've heard people say that they're in their closet. So
Really?
I think it's just
okay.
I think Sirius must send a doc to them that's like, the best place to set up is going to be in your closet.
And people just go, all right.
Yeah, you're going to want to clear out one of your closets, sit in the dark, and host this radio show. So yeah, they're all in their closets, losing their minds, probably just inhaling their carbon monoxide, dioxide,
Yeah,
whichever.
they're
one
in
it
there
is.
for too long. Like I am much like I am after 2 hours of recording inside my little podcast booth
Yeah.
I have here, where I get out and I'm like, why am I dizzy?
Flashing back to the late 90s.
But getting into this first episode, it is from March 26, 1964, which is about, 6 months into the run of Jimmy Dean and Rowlf here. It's still the first season of the Jimmy Dean show. Weirdly, a lot of the other episodes, they're sort of like bunched together in little batches that we watch this time. But this is the earliest one. This is where Rowlf bakes a cake. He's decorating a cake for Lassie's birthday. And just because, as we age, Sam, I have to wonder how people are aging and how their lives were going at the time. And I did find out that Jimmy Dean in this episode was the age we are now.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's a 35-year-old man sitting there with Rowlf the dog.
I forget how old we are a lot.
Yeah, we are 35. He might look a little older than 35, just saying.
People back then looked old.
That is very true. You ever look at pictures of like the Big Bopper and Richie Valens and everything?
Yeah, the Big Bopper was like 18 or something, wasn't he?
Richie Valens was like 18 when he died, and he looked older than that. And Big Bopper also looked like about 50, and he was like 24.
Do you want to Do you want to hear my intrusive thought about the Big Bopper that I just need to tell somebody eventually?
I mean, I just cursed you with the Mark McGrath story again. So
mine's
yes.
not even funny, but it's funny to me. In that song, Chinchilly Lace, is that what it's called?
Hello, baby.
Yes. So he
That one?
says that. He says, hello, baby. And then his next line is, yeah, it's the Big Bopper. Who's answering the phone? And they hear hello, baby. And then they're like, is this the Big Bopper?
I mean, if you called somebody and the first thing they said is, hello, baby, you'd probably be like, is this the Big Bopper?
That's true.
Who else answers the phone like that?
Well, I guess it could go both ways, really. Because you just either would say, you'd be surprised that Big Bopper was calling. But if you're this person he's calling, it's got to be, he's like your boyfriend. You wouldn't say, is this a Big Bopper?
Yeah, or someone is just calling to seduce him, because the other lyrics in that first verse are just, do I what? Will I what?
Yeah.
Oh, baby, you know what I...
What is she saying to him?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I just have always thought it's funny that he goes so hard, and then he must be so deflated when the person's like, who is this? It's like he's calling Jerry Seinfeld, you know?
Well, that was the Big Bopper's answering machine. Hello, baby.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
really annoying when people do that.
I don't feel like I've encountered that in, a real long time.
No.
But, yeah, there's definitely that era where people are like, it'd be funny. My
Yeah.
voice message was like, hello?
Uh-huh.
Hello? I can't hear you. Oh, actually, it's a machine. Yeah,
Awful.
leave a message. When's the last time you updated your voicemail message, Sam?
I have no idea if my voicemail even works, so...
I mean, currently same, but I think I set it up in 2007, and I don't know that I've changed it.
I think I changed mine in probably 2010. That's a long time ago.
That probably doesn't even sound like you anymore.
No, probably not.
I should
I've been
update that.
podcasting for so long. My vocal cords are strong now. So yeah, Rowlf bakes the cake. I think, so going back to what you were saying about how Jimmy Dean gets so sincere, that's one of the things I really love about this show, is that even when he's talking to Rowlf, he's like, of anybody who's ever interacted with a Muppet, he's done it. And I've said this before. He's the best one who have ever done it, I think, in my opinion. He believes everything so wholeheartedly and is willing to throw himself in, be the butt of a joke, get hit in the face with a sign, get exploded, and he just takes it all in stride.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There are great examples throughout this batch of him not only being, one of the humans that treats Rowlf like a real dog, but like fighting on behalf of Rowlf to defend him against people who don't think he's a real dog. You don't think my buddy Ralph's a real dog? I'll show you.
Yeah, they tell each other they love each other.
Yeah.
And he scratches his little head and stuff.
At one point, they kind of get married.
That was so funny, yeah.
There's also a lot of very good moments in this, which we enjoyed last time as well, of when Jim makes Jimmy laugh. When Rowlf goes a little bit off script, and Jimmy Dean is not prepared for it, and just kind of loses his mind.
But I guess to be fair, Jimmy Dean has a little bit of the Jimmy Fallon. He laughs a lot.
Yeah, something about it works better for me, though.
That's true.
He's a little bit more authentic, I think.
Yeah, he's a charming country boy. And you're never really sure if he actually thinks his dog is real or not, which helps too.
There's a reference in this episode where Rowlf says, "I'd rather bite than switch."
Yeah.
Which he's talking about his love of Lassie, and which is a reference to "I'd rather fight than switch" ad campaign for cigarettes that ran in the 60s and 70s. And it eventually became a phrase that was just kind of used in lots of places and different ad campaigns for different products. But yeah, I'd rather fight than switch was a series of cigarette ads where people would have like a black eye and they'd be smoking their cigarettes and be like, don't take my cigarettes away from me.
To switch cigarette brands.
I'll beat them up.
And I beat the shit out of them. And in self-defense, they gave me a black eye. That comes up, that's a phrase that comes up a lot in Halloween novelty music because it's all from the same era.
Yeah.
Especially better bite than switch because there's werewolves and vampires. They love biting. So that comes up. And I've never even thought to look it up before. I just knew it was from an ad, but I wasn't sure what it was.
The way Rowlf says it and the crowd reacts, I was like, I have to look this up. Because he says it and everyone's like, oh my God, that's the best thing I've ever heard. And I'm like, it's got to be something. I hope it's something. We get a couple good in this batch again. When Rowlf is talking about Lassie, he often introduces, let's say a metaphor. Sure. In this one, it's in the chicken soup of life. She has overcooked my noodles.
Yuck.
Yeah, that one's a little grosser than some of the other ones, but I did enjoy this one. One because Rowlf is really going to town with that icing.
Yeah.
And it seems like Jim himself is also having to actually squeeze that icing.
Well, Jim
all
and
over.
Frank, the team have to do it together.
Yeah. Rowlf says he got the recipe from Betty Crocker's dog.
Yeah, that was good.
Also pretty good.
He got all the eggs and the milk from his barnyard friends, which was really cute too.
Yeah, he got the eggs for free because he has a chicken friend. The milk was free, but took a little bit of pull, which get it because udders.
He had to pull his friend's udder.
Yeah, look away.
Yeah, don't look at me while I'm doing this, please.
But Rowlf sadly drops the birthday cake.
I gotta also say, the gag of writing an extremely long message on a cake is very funny. And I know I've seen it before somewhere, but it's so funny.
Well,
with a PS and everything.
Yeah. And him just stopping Jimmy each time where he's like, I'm not done. I'm still going. But he does sadly drop the cake, and we see the most distraught, shaking Rowlf we've ever seen. Another moment that really highlights the ability of Jim Henson to make a puppet look like it has different emotions when the eyes and face don't actually move at all.
Yeah. When he looks sad, but he doesn't look sad all the time. How the hell do they do that with him?
It's like the subtle mouth movement and just the body language, I think, but he is so sad after he drops that cake and looks like nothing could ever cheer him up. And you imagine that his eyes are like tilted up and that he must be actually crying and all these things, that he's just selling it so well. Ugh. Jim Henson and Frank Oz are pretty good at what they do.
Yeah. And Rowlf's the best Muppet also. So that helps too.
This did confirm that for me, that I would rather watch Jimmy Dean and Rowlf segments all day, every day than an episode of The Muppet Show.
Me too. Because they're funnier than The Muppet Show. Jerry was writing these too, though, right? Wasn't he?
I don't think so. I think it
I
was
thought he was on the
Jimmy
staff.
Dean team. writing these.
He did write on Jimmy Dean and played Rolf's nephew in that episode.
Oh, all right.
So they brought him along.
Yeah. I'd say that's pretty early on with the Jerry Jewell career with the Muppets. So
Yeah.
I didn't know yet if he was fully ingrained there.
No one else is writing puns like that. Are you kidding?
Well, the next one we watched was from October 8th, 1964. Rowlf is going on a date with Lassie. And he is preparing himself by trying to shave his entire body, it seems.
Yeah. You got to trim it down a little bit. That's what you do to dogs.
And this one is from the beginning of season 2 of the Jimmy Dean Show. This was one of those where we were lucky enough to have the full episode to watch. And so one of the things that's missing in some of the other bits that we've watched for the Jimmy Dean and Rowlf show is that they only show us the 7-minute chunk where they're actually interacting, like their main bit. But Rowlf also would pop up throughout the episodes.
Hell yeah.
And in this one specifically, he gets quite a good run at the beginning for the first minute and a half of this episode where he is talking to, I think it's Bobby Vinton, Molly V, and then Homer and Jethro, who are all the guests that week.
Do you know who any of those people are?
I have heard the names.
Okay.
Bobby
you said
Vinton
it like you were like, of course.
Molly V did not know. I might even be getting that wrong now. But Bobby Vinton sounded familiar. And then Homer
That
and
does
Jethro
sound familiar.
feel like names that my mom called me when I was a kid.
Okay.
I feel like she would have one of those mom references that you're like, I think is this insulting? Or is this just a joke? I don't know. But he is warning them to not talk about Jimmy Dean's big ears. A thing that Rowlf does constantly, by the way. He also says don't talk about his height because Jimmy Dean's secretly 5'3" and just wears high heels.
Really tall shoes. Yeah.
And Jimmy Dean catches him, of course, to which we get one of Rowlf's many references in this batch to getting fired and being on the unemployment line.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really good moment in there where he cracks a joke as an example of a corny joke that Jimmy Dean would make. And Molly laughs really hard. And he's like, oh, you're going to be coming back here a lot.
Yeah.
Another thing I picked up on during this batch that I didn't pick up on the first time, I don't think, is that there's a difference in laughter between the audience laughter and the crew / dancer / other musicians' laughter on set. And the way Jimmy Dean reacts to those laughters is a very different reaction.
Oh, what do you mean?
So there's one point in this where Rowlf makes a joke at Jimmy's expense, and there's a slightly louder than normal laugh, and Jimmy looks off. He's like, "Oh, there's some enemies in the camp tonight."
Oh yeah, because he's like, you should play some Jimmy Dean albums, and he's like, come on. And then
he says some Dean records. And he's like, "All right, give me a dozen Dean Martin records."
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just there's a couple times where I noticed in some of the other bits with some of the other performers too, when Jimmy Dean would be talking, like Minnie Pearl or somebody would be on, and they would make the dancers laugh, and Jimmy Dean would specifically call out "Oh, you got them! Look at it, you got them laughing. It's hard to get them laughing." Yeah,
it seemed like such a fun show.
It doesn't interest me. I'm not necessarily going to go back and watch these full episodes because. I like Roger Miller. I don't necessarily like the opera singers or some of the other performers on here. But overall, seems like a fun show.
Yeah. I think I would have liked it a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah. It seems like Hee Haw without making fun of Southerners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I didn't ever put this together, but there's one point where they say, taped live in Hollywood. And I'm like, No, you don't film this show in Los Angeles. That's not allowed.
I thought it was in New York for some reason.
I think some of it's in New York, some of it's in Los Angeles, and there's special episodes filmed in Nashville.
Right.
But the fact that this was not always filmed in Nashville feels wrong for some reason.
It seems like that's where you get the biggest enthusiastic crowd for it.
I can't imagine Jimmy Dean as a California boy, spending his off time at Santa Monica Beach or something.
I can imagine that more easily than him in New York. Because there's all kinds of people in L.A., But New York, he'd be walking around in his cowboy outfit.
Riding a horse down Broadway.
Yeah.
Boy, these buildings are tall.
Jimmy, you've lived here for 10 years.
And they keep making them taller. In this one where Rowlf is preparing for his date, we get another lovely Lassie metaphor where he says, "In the spaghetti of life, she has overheated my marinara."
Yeah, less disgusting because it doesn't reference noodles.
But Rowlf, at the beginning, his idea of a great date is to, let Lassie pay for the cab. Let her check the coats.
Fair, though. She's probably really rich.
Part of it is, she's the one making all the money here. I have to imagine Lassie is making more money than Rowlf on Jimmy Dean's show.
Yeah. In real life, yes, the dog is absolutely making more money.
Yeah, Lassie was making more money than Jim at this point, I'm sure. Yeah. But throughout this is Jimmy Dean trying to teach Rowlf how to be a nice date and how to eat food properly and to not gross out his date. Mm-hmm. And in the midst of that, we get a very fancy soup-eating Rowlf where again, just Rowlf pretending to be fancy is a great still image where he sort of like has one hand in the air as he's sipping soup with the other hand.
I didn't know you weren't supposed to blow on your soup.
I mean, I don't think you're supposed to blow in your soup in general, like in public, but definitely not the way Rowlf is doing it, where he's just leaning down to the bowl, just blowing really hard into it. Right. I think blowing on your spoon a little bit is probably all right.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. There was a really good wordplay in this when Jimmy's like, I'm going to teach you how etiquette. And then Rowlf says, from Hitchin Post to Emily Post. I thought that was really cute. And then when he blows a soup at the end, he's like, you can't blow on your soup. You have to fan it with a pizza like a gentleman. And he whips out a pizza and starts, which made me think, what did pizza taste like in the 60s, you think? You think it tasted the same or you think it sucked? Or was it better? Probably made with more fresh ingredients.
I mean, maybe. The pizza he pulls out is definitely a piece of cardboard painted like a pizza.
Like a pizza, yeah.
My favorite part of that moment is when he whips out the pizza, Jimmy Dean takes it away from him and is like, where'd you get that pizza? And he's like, the same place you got the soup. Because they both just like reach down out of frame for their props.
Yeah.
And this was one of those moments, again, where Jimmy Dean didn't seem to know that was what the line was going to be coming out of Rowlf's mouth.
It's just weird to think about people in the 60s eating pizza. I can't imagine it.
Again,
pizza wasn't invented until the Ninja Turtles.
Jimmy Dean riding his horse down Broadway, seeing a Sparrows and being, what's this triangular treat? I mean, pizza was definitely around.
I know.
Whether it was better or worse,
it was invented in like the 1000s, so it was around. But
the next episode here is from October 22nd, 1964. Boy. So this is one where Rowlf is wearing a Native American headdress at the beginning and drumming on a drum. And apparently he's been named an honorary chief of the Red Hawk tribe, which, in my research, revealed is not a real tribe. So, throughout this whole thing, I was like holding out hope that there was a chance somehow they might be respectful. I don't know why I thought that in the, early 60s they might be respectful about this. But I was just holding out hope. Because there's other parts where like there was setups I thought that were going to lead to offensive jokes that didn't. And I was like, okay, restraint, I guess. Not congratulations, because that's a low bar. But
human empathy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Versus
there's definitely a setup for a Chinese food joke that I was like, oh boy, here we go. But then they just start naming real Chinese food. So
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of where we just experienced that in our Big Bird in China episode where Oscar makes the joke. And so, that was happening in the 80s. So going back to the 60s, and they were setting up things about dogs
don't
eating
eat Chinese
food.
Chinese dogs do, which is pretty funny.
That's a good joke. But unfortunately, this one is just, everything you imagine. All the stereotypes are tossed in here. Rowlf's wearing a headdress. Jimmy wears a headdress at some point.
They speak some gibberish, fake Native American language.
Yeah. At one point, Rowlf is pretty much just singing the Witch Doctor song. And so he's just really mixing his stereotypes together to make a horrible soup. And Rowlf tries to order an attack on the show, ordering the Red Hawk tribe to attack the show. And then they wrap it up with a rendition of Pass That Peace Pipe, a song that came up on The Muppet Show as well, that the Muppet Dogs sang in a UK spot.
And got murdered. Nobody got murdered this time, though.
No arrows through the head in this version.
No.
Again, when we watch stuff from this era, it's not surprising. It's just disappointing.
Yeah. Especially more so because there are times, and like they'll make Sesame Street very soon, and there are times when they're like, human beings are all the same. Like, human beings all deserve respect and dignity, but then they'll be on the Muppet Show being racist.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a Sesame Street cartoon from, like, the 60s or 70s where they straight up address Native American stereotypes and like tell kids to not do that.
Yeah. Right.
And yeah, I think there is often a disconnect between the lessons being taught to kids. It's that sort of thing where you see people be really nice to kids and tell them don't do things, but then it's like that do as I say, not as I do mentality, where in their free time or after they're done teaching the lesson, they're kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, and that, okay, so you're not really nice or trying to instill good values in your kids. You're
going
actually
through the motions or something. I don't even know why you're doing it.
Right. It's that thing where people are like, where did my kid learn to swear? And it's like, maybe in between the moments where you're telling them not to swear when you were swearing.
Yeah.
It's like, no judgment there, but it's like, you got to understand where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to the November 5th, 1964 episode of The Jimmy Dean Show. It's a country music spectacular.
Isn't it always, though?
Well, yeah, that's very, very fair. But this episode was taped at the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee. I believe that's where the Grand Ole Opry is. Yeah, let's say it is. Someone will correct us.
I think it is. It's a division of Ryman Hospitality Properties Incorporated, so that makes sense.
So the Ryman Auditorium at least owns
It's
the Grand Ole
home of
Opry
the
in
Grand
some
Ole
way.
Opry, I'm
I think
pretty
there's
sure,
also been
yeah.
some issues where the Grand Ole Opry has maybe moved or was destroyed in a tornado not that long ago.
Oh.
So there was at least some damage to the Grand Ole Opry at one point. So yeah.
Well, the Grand Ole Opry is a show, not a place.
I think it's an idea. But this one is a little bit more scattered with its Rowlf content. This is one where there's 3 different sections of Rowlf throughout this special. And we get a small little moment where Rowlf is just introing the show. We get him enjoying Jimmy's singing and just kind of, I guess, confessing that he does enjoy country music.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn more about Rowlf's family as he says he has an Uncle Clem, who's the most famous dog in Tennessee.
Yeah, he's got music in his background. He's not even really a musician yet, I suppose. Rowlf isn't, because he's so bad at playing guitar.
Yeah.
That comes later.
Maybe this is when he decided to take up piano. 'Cause he was like, well, I'm not good at this one. But he does want to become a great country artist, he says. And since Chet Atkins is on the show, it seems like this is the best chance to become a great country artist. There's a note on Muppet Wiki that says when Rowlf is trying to impress Chet with his guitar playing, he is enacting the 1963 novelty single, Chet Atkins, Make Me a Star.
Okay. It does seem very specific.
And apparently it's so there's a song
Uh-huh.
where someone is trying to get Chet Atkins to make them famous. So I know Chet Atkins is one of those names I know, but don't know well enough to understand why he is the most famous man when they talk about him in this context.
I'm sure I've heard a song by Chet Atkins before.
Well, and he seems like he was also...
Or was he a producer?
I think he was both. I think he was a musician, but I also think it seems like he was maybe, owning Nashville record
He helped
labels.
create the Nashville sound, Matt, according to Wikipedia.
That's pretty vague, I think.
I think it maybe is a very specific thing, but sophisticated background vocals, smooth tempos, and smooth strings and choruses. So yeah, I can picture what that means in my head.
Probably most of the music we're hearing on the Jimmy Dean Show at this time was coming through the mind and wallet of Chet Atkins.
It was an attempt to create a distinct genre from rockabilly.
Get out of here, rock and roll. Dirtying our country music.
Man, they hate rock and roll, don't they? We'll learn more about that later.
Yeah, Jimmy Dean, even more square than I initially thought.
Yeah.
But at one point in this, Rowlf is talking about potentially maybe doing bluegrass and starts to read off a definition of bluegrass as if you asked Siri what bluegrass was. It sounds like he's just reading the Wikipedia page for bluegrass. And I mean, I guess encyclopedias and stuff existed back then, but the writing of this just felt very specific to me.
Yeah, it was probably from the encyclopedia. But I think he was right, too.
Oh, yeah, he nailed it. But it was such a clinical definition that it does feel like somebody starting off a speech with Webster's defines bluegrass as...
Yeah, but it wouldn't be out of character for today's Rowlf to do the exact same thing, to be an encyclopedia of all different music,
Well, now you brought me to my main point, Sam.
Okay.
We need more Rowlf in our lives.
We do.
There's not enough Rowlf out there in the world.
I think he's a very relatable Muppet. I think he could be a big star again.
Yeah, we saw that not that long ago when they gave away, it's not a prize, when they assigned the blue plaque thing in England to Jim's old house. And we had that lovely moment where Rowlf was interviewed, I think on the BBC, and had a very emotional interview about his old pal Jim Henson.
Yeah.
And I think we don't get to see that side of Rowlf ever. When we do get to see Rowlf, it's very few and far between. He has some great moments on the 2015 ABC show, but mostly in the movies and stuff, he's just relegated to and I'm here too.
Yeah, literally in every movie, that's what he does.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny in the 2011 Muppets movie, but because he then just went on to kind of be that from then on, it's more sad. And in Muppets Haunted Mansion, he's just playing the organ and doesn't really get to do much.
Yeah. But yeah, they should let him be somebody's sidekick again.
Nope. Sam,
No?
I've already told you my idea, which I still think is the best idea. And that's the Adventures of Rowlf in Outer Space. A real thing that they wanted to make.
And there is a script of it, right? You can't see it, but it exists.
Correct. There is an outline somewhere in the Jim Henson archives, so we need to reach out to our old friend Craig Shemin and say, hey, Craig, want to sneak that out for us so we can read it?
I assume it was was it with puppets?
What else would it be?
So what I could see it being, so the concept is Rowlf builds a rocket ship, goes around outer space. What I could see it being a perfect fit for is like a Rocky and Bullwinkle style, very limited animation.
Oh.
Because they use the same kind of wordplay, and I could just see like a little cartoon Rowlf being like, hey, what's going on? I'm on this planet now. This is happening. Maybe it's slightly serialized throughout the week or something like that.
Oh, I want that to exist.
It would be so cute.
Yeah. I want a Muppet cartoon in the same world as the other Jay Ward stuff.
Yeah.
In the George of the Jungle, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Richard Gomez, if you're out there listening and you feel like drawing some Muppets today, why not draw Rowlf visiting Coosbane in the style of Jay Ward? Sorry, I just talked to you as if you were Dolly or Midjourney, but
I've seen a very Jay Wardy Rowlf from Richard Gomez before, so it's out there.
It's out there. But my idea is, because I do think that's they were planning on doing this with puppets. It says the plot for the space adventure involved Rowlf traveling to planets and solar systems far outside of our own using his own homemade rocket.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the perfect opportunity for a Rowlf 50s sci-fi radio play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could do this today relatively cheaply, and it's your new Night Vale, everyone.
I'm sure it will be just as popular.
Exactly.
But Disney, it would be really easy. It's so easy to make a podcast, Disney.
Yeah,
we're doing it right now.
My first idea was to do this as a YouTube series where you could have Bill Beretta film it at home, and you could be giving video diaries of his journeys of where he just went. And you don't even need to visualize all of them. You could have it be told to you by Rowlf. But then I was like, wait a minute, even cheaper.
The beauty of a podcast, you don't have to see anything.
Don't even need to build a new Rowlf puppet.
Yeah.
Don't need to build any of the props that you can talk about. You can say anything you want. And that's just, so chalk that up to just another one of those Muppet projects that I would like to see, both the actual original version of that. I would love to have seen them take Rowlf and be the star of a new series.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Be like a different reality.
Oh yeah, I don't think the Muppet Show ever happens if that happens. But I'm not always looking for opportunities to try and work with the Muppets. That's not my end goal of this podcast. But I do feel like you and I could write a pretty funny radio show for Rowlf. Sesame Street does podcasts. Come on, Muppets.
Yeah, they do. But I still think Rowlf, I think a low-key Muppet sidekick on a talk show. Maybe we're ready for it again.
Moving on to December 3rd, 1964. This is the one where we referenced people writing in, complaining, or at least maybe confused by the fact that you keep saying Rowlf's a real dog there, Jimmy, but he doesn't act like a real dog.
People in the 60s didn't know their ass from a hole in the ground.
But Jimmy is, convinced that he can tell America that this dog is a real dog. And so he walks on over to Rowlf, who is knitting a very long sweater for a stretched beagle friend of his. And that's just one of the first of many things that we learn that Rowlf is doing that is undog-like this week. Once again, knitting, a joke amongst the Muppets as far as a random hobby to attach to a character. We've seen this on Fraggle Rock multiple times.
Yeah.
But then
I like later on towards the end of this skit, Rolf's like, I was just here knitting and minding my own business. You're the one who came over and started bothering me about this.
Well, yeah, he is very upset because suddenly Jimmy's asking him to do all this stuff that he's like, hey, you hired me to be a talking dog, dude.
Yeah.
He says a dog that doesn't bark is unbelievable. And he says a dog that doesn't talk is unemployed.
Exactly. He knows what's up.
We also learned that Rowlf has a brother, at least for the sake of this story in here, where he says that he and his brother were standing on a corner and got a ticket from a cop for double barking. We also learned that when Jimmy Dean asked Rowlf for his license to prove, hey, you're a dog, you're a licensed dog, let me see your license. He whips out a giant wallet.
A wallet full of credit cards and stuff.
And
I love that.
Notably, he has a driver's license, a hunting license, and his draft card.
Yeah. Rowlf served.
Which, the timing of this is concerning for Rowlf.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
If he is eligible for the draft...
Yeah. He's got to be holding his breath. He ain't going to nom, right?
Mm-hmm. I think I can actually look up who got drafted and who didn't.
Oh, no.
As far as
The
birth dates
birthday.
go,
The
yeah.
birthday. March 4th. Did that get drafted?
It doesn't look like they were, like he was called to serve. It looks like he missed out.
Yeah, his draft number was not called.
Yeah. Because people born, the thing I'm looking at says people born on bold dates were called to serve. The very last one called was Jim Henson's birthday.
That's my birthday.
Yeah.
So I would have been drafted.
Yeah. I would have been drafted before you.
Tough luck, buddy.
Yeah.
I would have been there. You'd have been real grizzled.
You don't know the shit I've seen.
Yeah. You and Rowlf.
But yeah, learning that, I guess, one, that Rowlf was eligible for the draft was interesting because that feels like an Air Bud situation where, like,
Yeah.
I guess there's no
There's
rules
no rule that
against
says
it.
a dog can't get drafted if he knows his birthday and he's a citizen of the United States.
But we also do get to see Rowlf decide, you know what, you want a real dog? I'll behave like a real dog. He starts barking and biting Jimmy Dean.
It's kind of sad
Yeah, yeah, a little
because
bit.
Jimmy's kind of like, oh, I want my friend back.
But yeah, Rowlf is also doing the like, oh, is this what you want? This is what you want? Huh? Fine, I'll give you what you want. You want me to bite you? Is that what you want? Huh? Huh? You jerk?
And then he whips out the big sign because Jimmy's like, what are you doing? And he whips out the big sign that says dogs can't talk and hits Jimmy around the eyeball on his way up.
Which is like, there's a moment where Rowlf then does say like, oh, excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
It's
Yeah.
like, you stepped outside the bit a little bit there. You weren't supposed to be speaking right now.
And then he does something which I want to be a new piece of merch, which is whip out another sign that says suffer.
He flips
In
it
a really
around.
charming
Yeah.
font. Yeah.
Because I
So-
did screenshot that because he, when Jimmy Dean's like, you're leaving me out here all alone to talk to myself. He just flips around his sign and it just says, suffer.
So look forward to a suffer shirt sometime in the future.
I thought about tweeting that this morning, that screenshot with something about daylight savings time, but I was too tired to make a joke about it. So,
And this is when they get married too. When they're like, I don't remember what they're saying. They're just like, you're the best dog I ever had. You're the best owner I ever had.
well, they say basically it's like, you promised to be a good dog owner. He's like, I do. He's like, and do you promise to be the best dog there ever was? He's like, I do. And Rowlf grabs his hand. He's like, I now pronounce us man and dog.
Very cute.
hmm
And then he does like a very cute walk, like a very cute Muppet walk. One of the first ones I feel like we've ever seen Rowlf do. And he's like, oh yeah, I got other stuff to do anyway.
He's like,
And then he
"Bye."
goes, what? Yeah.
There's also a moment coming up in the Rowlf's birthday one where we get like a Gonzo slide in from Rowlf where he's like walking away and Jimmy's like, by the way, happy birthday. And he's like,
Yeah. Forgot that was Gonzo's thing. He ain't doing that lately.
yeah, we don't hear the swoop noise a lot.
Mm-mm.
Well, next up, we have a very relatable Rowlf one here on January 7th,
We're getting
1965.
into the culture wars now with this next stretch.
Because we find out, we get a sort of a frustrated Jimmy Dean at the beginning of this segment saying, well, that's old Ralph's music, but it's been pretty quiet over there by Ralph's little hut he lives in, I guess.
I think he just lives by that fence.
Yeah, he just lives behind the fence.
Yeah.
And the reason it's been a little quiet is apparently because Ralph's busy wasting away his time reading comic books.
Yes, Teenage Monster, written by somebody who seems to have never read a comic book before.
Also, cover design by somebody who's never seen a comic book
Seen
before.
a comic book, yeah.
That would also be a great piece of merch, though, is that Teenage Monster comic book cover. But you took issue with the story inside the comic book.
This was, I think, right around the time that the Comics Code started, because the horror comics back then were just disgusting. It's like what Tales from the Crypt is based on, a comic from that time period. And it's just stories from that, and they're disgusting. So it would have been more funny if Rowlf was like, oh, now he's getting his eyes plucked out of his head. Now he's, getting juiced in a juicer and a ghoul's drinking him.
I think he did his version of that,
Yeah.
which he references that there's gory stuff happening.
That's true.
But he doesn't say, specifically what's happening.
I also thought this one was kind of boring in general. This was one of my least favorite ones besides the racist one.
Yeah, to be fair, I watched this one before that one, and I put in my notes, maybe the weakest one we've ever seen.
Because Jimmy's like, oh, I'll tell you a real story. Jack and the Beanstalk. One of the stupidest stories. And really?
Do you remember 20 minutes ago where we were talking about Jack and the Beanstalk?
Yeah, it's a modern retelling because Brian Henson was like, this story sucks. But then he's like, I'll tell you a real story. Also, it's like, that's a gruesome story too. That's as pulpy as anything. But then he tells him Jack and the Beanstalk. He just literally tells him Jack and the Beanstalk, and then Rowlf keeps going, I'm bored. And then I keep going, I'm bored too, Rowlf. This sucks.
Yeah, and it didn't. There was no payoff. That was it. Like, they just told him the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, and it wasn't funny.
Sorry, guys. Better luck next time.
Well, speaking of next time, thankfully, it's March 4th. It's Rowlf's birthday. Kinda.
Yeah.
We just missed Rowlf's birthday, Sam.
I know. I was thinking that. I was disappointed. We didn't know until too late.
It is only Rowlf's birthday, it seems like, because he just picked a day. He thought it would be nice to have a birthday.
He doesn't even know if he was born or not.
That was a troubling statement.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I don't know my birthday. I don't even know if I even was born. And it's like, let's unpack that for a while, Rowlf.
Yep.
Is this him realizing he's a puppet? Is this him being
and
like...
even if you are a puppet, you kind of are born.
Yeah, but he doesn't
But
remember
maybe
it.
not
He just remembers
exactly.
like a dark box opening one day, and he's like,
Yes.
oh, who's this mustachioed man staring at me?
Don put his eyes on, and then he just sprung to life.
It's like C-3PO.
That's true. Droids are also basically Muppets.
Because of the puppeteering?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I didn't know how existential you were
And they
trying
go,
to get right
wow,
there.
Wow, wow, wow. Just like a Muppets does.
One of the things about this episode that I noticed is that there's kids in the audience, notably. And I know we heard some kids in the audience in the previous batch of Jimmy Deans we watched.
Yeah.
But I feel like in this batch, this is the only one I noticeably heard kids laughing
And
and,
they're
reacting.
loud too.
Mhm.
It's almost like maybe they were like, "This one's Rowlf's birthday. Let's get some kids purposefully to come," or they advertised that it was Rowlf's birthday for the audience or something like that. I don't know how they would fill the audience if it was how they do it nowadays, where you get in like a lottery or something, or if they bought tickets or what. But
Yeah, I mean, maybe they do what they do now with, like, speaking of late night hosts, when you go out to L.A.,
yeah,
you could be walking around and they're just like, hey, want to come to see Jimmy Kimmel tonight?
yeah.
And it's like, okay, I guess.
Hey, it's Rowlf's birthday, kid. You want to go see Rowlf? Get in my van. You know your favorite TV puppet dog? Today's his birthday. Okay, so first of all, this was one of the first Muppet Easter eggs, I bet, because September 24th is listed as a possible birthday for Rowlf.
So is June 16th, which is Jane's birthday.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
He hadn't forgotten about her yet.
She's still there. She's probably helping out.
Yeah, that's true. This isn't very long after Sam and Friends on. This is only like 4 or 5 years or something.
They did already have a couple kids at this point, which I know is like
Right.
part of the reason Jane stepped away was because
Yes,
they had
I'm
a
just
couple
kidding.
kids.
Nobody can forget Jane, but he wasn't maybe not the nicest to her. And maybe I wouldn't be surprised if he knew her birthday, or didn't know her birthday rather. But I'm sure those other birthdays are probably other people's birthdays too. There were like 4 they listed.
Well, so he lists 3, and I had an unfortunate, unnecessary rabbit hole that happened here,
gosh.
Sam.
Uh-huh.
So Rowlf says, I guess I could have picked any day, September 24th, or June 16th, or February 12th. And so I paused at that moment and was like, okay, I know September 24th is Jim's birthday.
And mine.
And yours. At the time, it wasn't. You weren't alive. You were still,
It was still going to be.
22 years away from being in existence.
Yeah, I was up in heaven with Jesus.
But so when he said June 16th, I was like, okay, that's got to be somebody's, either Frank's or Jane's or something. And so I looked up, found it was Jane's. Cool. And so I was like, February 12th, let's look this one up. Let's find out. So I started digging in, and I was like, not Frank Oz, not Jerry Jewell.
Uh-oh.
And I was like digging, and I was like, let's look up Jim's parents. Let's find out when they were born. Let's look up Jane's parents. Let's find out when they were born. And like, I'm finding lots of like circa 1903. Like, they don't even know the year these people were born. They're just like, I don't know, kind of this general area.
It's not Jimmy's birthday either.
No, because you know what? You know what the problem is here, Sam?
What?
If I had not paused and let it play for 2 more seconds,
Yeah.
Rowlf says, oh, wait, that's Lincoln's birthday.
Oh, right. Oh, no, Matt.
I spent
I'm
like
sorry.
15 minutes looking to see who attached to Jim Henson and had the birthday
I'm
of
surprised
February
that
12th.
you're not still looking for it.
Oh, no, because I gave up and then went to finish watching and then watched it and was like, God damn it. Immediately answered with the joke of whose birthday it is. What do you think of that cake?
I love that cake. It looked disgusting, but it was great.
I kind of want to make us that cake for our birthday episode.
Yeah, me too. I have so many plans in my head for what we would do when we finish all of it, and this cake is part of it now.
Well, the fact that we have to keep dipping back into the 60s, that plan is going to be...
Matt, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, if you look at like...
This is setting us back. Oh,
Well,
no.
we're going to come back next episode. We'll be back to 1983, but we've
But
been
we'll have lost
stuck.
a week of our lives.
Think of it as time travel, Sam.
I suppose we would have had to do this one way or the other. We either lost a week back then or lost a week now.
And this sketch very joyfully wraps up with everyone singing happy birthday to Rowlf.
And they all mean it too, because everybody loves this little son of a bitch.
They all know his name.
Yeah.
No one has to be like, wait. Like, you know, you get like at a party where you're like, suddenly people are singing happy birthday. You're like, I don't know this fool's name.
Yeah.
And you're like, happy birthday to you.
Do you ever forget people you know's names?
Last names, yes. First names, no, I don't think.
Sometimes someone's walking up to me and I'm like, what the heck's this person's name?
See, I
That's
have the
probably
problem
bad, right?
where I'm very good with names and faces. I have that issue where I assume no one remembers me ever.
Yeah, me too.
And so I am in group chats with people on text messages that if I saw at the store, I still might not assume they know who I am.
Oh, that's brutal. When I went to my 10-year anniversary, I didn't know anybody. I couldn't remember anybody's name, and everybody was like, hey, Sam, what's going on? That sucks. How do they remember my name?
Maybe you were cool and very popular.
I was. It's actually true. I was pretty cool.
Were you really popular in high school?
Yeah.
Why were you so popular?
I had a lot of parties.
Oh.
Don't tell. That's not why. I was just I was a cool guy. I was like probably in the second most popular clique in school. There was the cool jocks.
Right. You were one of the cool weirdos?
There was the cool smart jocks. Then there was the cool smart not jocks. And I was in that second one. I wasn't even a weirdo.
Oh. See, I was the cool weirdo.
They were cool weirdos, but I was not one of them.
I was just like friends with everybody because I was a cool weirdo who didn't really dislike anybody except for the rednecks who bullied me every day.
That's rednecks everywhere. There were rednecks who bullied everybody at my school every day.
Yeah. When you live in the middle of nowhere cornfields and you have the last name Gatos,
that sucks.
That's not going to go well for you. But fuck them, I got prom king. So
I was nominated for prom royalty, but I did not get it.
Didn't win though. I don't have a crown in your garage, do ya?
No.
I do.
Wow.
I have a almost 20-year-old crown falling apart in my garage.
So cool, man.
Thank you. That's all I've wanted. It's time to talk about Rowlf fighting crime as a secret agent. This episode was on October 1st, 1965, and the first thing we see is a monster, which we find out is a skunky, half skunk, half monkey. It is not a skunky named Igor. It is actually Rowlf doing his best Bela Lugosi impression underneath the Igor mask, which the crowd got a real kick out of Rowlf taking off his disguise.
This is still in that era when the Muppets could do anything and people would be freaking out. So yeah, that was kind of weird though.
Yeah, the fact that like a puppet was
like,
wearing
"It's
another
Rowlf!"
like costume as a disguise. They're like, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah. Well, so then he reveals that he He's the dog from Cousin, much like the man from Uncle.
Mm-hmm.
Cousin meaning the canine organization of United International Nitwits. Was that what the last word was?
Yeah, I think Jim might have messed up.
Okay.
Because he says the Canine Organization of United International Nitwits.
Yeah.
So I think there was an S word that was supposed to be in that that
right.
phrase there for the S in cousin. And he forgot it, skipped to international, and was like, well, shit, I guess I have to continue because we
There
don't
was
edit
no
this thing.
S. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then later on, they sing a song going through the letters, but it does not seem like they're actually supposed to be listing out what it stands for, because in this they say it stands for Secret Agent Star. But they also change,
right.
like they don't say nitwit in the song, and it stands for like the nation that they serve or whatever like that, and they salute.
Right.
So yeah, it's a little confusing.
Wow,
So
we'll never know what the S was supposed to be. Or if
Yeah.
the N was really nitwit.
I mean, he says nitwit, so I feel like that one, I guess, must be true.
Unless he was just feeling like a nitwit, and that's why he said that, you know? Because he forgot the S. But then Rowlf also reveals that he was the sexy blonde that Jimmy Dean was dancing with at a party at like the night before.
Yeah, he's basically Jimmy calls out his disguise work and is like, you can't pull that off. And he's like, oh yeah? How about you told me about that sexy blonde you were dancing with the other night and you brought her hors d'oeuvres? And he's like, well, you're a bad dancer, but the salami was great.
Horrifying.
I mean, yeah, the fact that Rowlf can successfully disguise himself as a sexy blonde.
Yeah, and then Jimmy's like, I was thinking thoughts about Rowlf.
Yeah, it could have been an awkward work interaction the next day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm picturing some like a Bugs Bunny version of Rowlf essentially right now, where he's dressed
Bugs
up.
Bunny looks fine as hell when he's dressed up.
That's
so.
what I'm saying, Sam. Maybe there's a chance. Rowlf also looks fine as hell.
He could pull all of his infinity up into his chest area. I could see that.
That's the worst sentence I think I've ever heard out loud. He can pull all of his infinity up into his chest area.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And have bazongos.
Rowlf with bazongos is not something I need to see.
Brown, hairy bazongos.
That did remind me, though, there's an issue. I don't know, an issue is a strong word. There's that thing that happens with like 60s TV hosts around this time during this where they reference their like sexual escapades, and there's a few times that Jimmy sort of flirts with people throughout some of these batches. And he had been married already for like 15 years to a woman he was going to be married to for like 80 years. So it was like one of those things, like I think we experienced this with Perry Como previously, where it's like a little bit of a creep, and you're like, you're like known to be married for quite a long time at this point, and you're just a creep on TV a little bit.
Yeah, it's either they're cheating on their spouses or they're just losers who want to pretend like they're real sexy in their normal life.
Yeah, bizarre.
Loser as in a person with a wife.
But Rowlf apparently is part cyborg. He says as part of his spy training, he's got a tape recorder in his nose and a camera in his left eyeball.
Yeah, it's going to make a real weird noise when I chomp it. The recording will show. This is where Sam chomps the nose.
Well, and he says one of my favorite lines in this, which is, my whole body is wired for espionage.
I wrote that down too. That's where Inspector Gadget got the idea.
And then there's quite the pivot where suddenly helium pills are introduced to the
pills,
and
That really takes up the whole rest of the thing.
Yeah, and we find out that there are some helium pills that they'd given to somebody so they would float out of the room, but Jimmy Dean takes them and they don't seem to work. So Rowlf takes the whole bottle.
I was so looking forward to his belly inflating. I think that would have been great.
You have to take more than one apparently. And Rowlf takes the whole bottle, his stomach starts inflating, and then pop goes the belly button.
His belly button blows out.
Yeah.
And everybody sees it coming too, because Jimmy's kind of like, let me guess.
Yeah.
Your belly button blew out. Yep.
Rowlf notably has a mobile phone in this. He's a giant bone that serves as his cell phone.
That didn't even occur to me that's where they got the idea for cell phones.
Yeah, I'm sure no spy shows had mobile phones in their shoes before this.
That was a big bone too.
Yeah, not the most subtle.
No.
Like, this was also, I think, like, literally the year Get Smart came out. So I have to imagine that's where this is getting inspiration from.
Right. I forgot that actually the Muppets are the ones who are stealing all ideas from everything.
Yeah, we just don't do podcasts about those other things.
Yeah. Muppets are the fount of all culture.
But then on October 22nd, 1965, it's time for the Country Music Awards.
What was this? Was this real?
Yeah, it's a real Billboard Country Music Awards that they basically just let Jimmy Dean host, and then he made it an episode of his show.
Into his show, which was very strange.
It's like if Jimmy Kimmel hosted the Oscars, but the Oscars just were on his show.
Just like on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah.
Instead of a special Oscar ceremony, they were just like, yeah, just, I guess, toss those over there. So, yeah, this is an actual ceremony where you get to see Minnie Pearl and Roger Miller and a whole bunch of other country stars at the time.
So
and
Rowlf really won a Country Music Award, kinda.
Well, no. He's told quite specifically,
That's
you did
true.
not win.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he pops up a couple times at the very, very beginning. Jimmy goes to present the first award and says, "This is a man I'm proud to call a friend. He's a great man." And Rowlf pops up yelling, "That must be me."
Of course it is.
Yeah, and he alludes to the fact that this contest is rigged, and that's why he was chosen.
I'd like to thank the man who fixed my hair, who fixed my makeup, who fixed my musical numbers, and the man who fixed this contest.
And he points to Jimmy a little bit, and Jimmy's like, "Hey, no, this is on the level."
Yeah. Jimmy could go to prison, I think.
And then Rowlf sadly pops up later on to be like, "Hey, so you're
At the very end.
you gave out all the awards and
Yeah.
didn't give me one?" And Jimmy's like, "Well, don't worry, pal. There's one more award left to give out. And it's the award for the best four-footed animal, for the best dog on the Jimmy Dean Show." And the award goes to Lassie. But Jimmy Dean's prepared because he has his own personal award that he
just some
made.
shitty thing he spray painted gold.
Something that I kind of want to replicate and hang on my wall. It's a little plaque with a gold-plated dog bone and a little name plaque that says Rowlf. And it's apparently for the best old hound dog buddy a fella ever had.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, this means nothing. Nobody voted on this. Then, December 31st, 1965. The end of the year. And Rowlf has nothing to do. He has no party to go to. He is sad. He has not been invited to a New Year's party. So he decides, you know what?
Bed.
Yeah, he's got his sleeping cap on. He is ready. But then Jimmy decides to be an absolute dick and really just mess with Rowlf a lot. And like shames him for not throwing his own party, which he then decides, you know what, I will throw a party. And then he's like, "Well, you're gonna waste all that food? There are people in Afghanistan starving." And he's like, "Well, fine, I won't waste the food. I'll cancel the party." And he's like, "Oh, well, now you're putting the caterer out of work." And this is a pretty frustrating bit, but it does lead to a certain point where Rowlf is like, "The party's off," and Jimmy Dean's like, "Why?" He's like, "You'll think of a reason."
I thought it was good. Jimmy was turning it around on old Rowlf.
I think it just went on so long for me that I was like, I get it. You're going to keep doing this for a while, I think.
Rowlf's obviously invited to your party. He's on your damn show.
This was another part, though, where I started to feel weird about it being shot in Hollywood, because they talk about, like, I'm going to throw my party at the Hollywood Bowl, and they're going to walk over there, there'll be traffic, all this stuff. And I'm like, you can't talk about Los Angeles things.
No.
You're a
you
cowboy.
have to ride a horse to the Cactus Bowl or whatever.
There is an impressive piece of puppetry technology here going on, because Rowlf keeps taking off and putting on his party hat.
Oh, yeah.
And
I didn't even think of that.
It doesn't move off. Towards the end, it starts to fall off his head, but throughout, it's going on. And I have to imagine it's Velcro, because I don't know what else would possibly make this system work.
Some gaff tape, perhaps.
It feels like the tape would maybe not be strong enough. Like
That's true.
He's really good about like cramming that head on. It sticks on until he decides to take it off.
When was Velcro invented? 1957.
Oh, look at that. Brand new technology.
Yeah. That probably changed the game for Jim big time.
Don Sleem was just like, I'll take the job now, Jim. Velcro's been invented. I can be
It
here.
was too hard before.
But yeah, this features one of the two times in this batch where I don't know if Jim forgot his line or if this is a bit, but when Rowlf's trying to sort of joke with Jimmy, he's like, "Oh, you," and it's like the first time he does it, it feels like he messes up, and then this time he does it, feels like maybe they're trying to like make it a thing.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Or the only things he could think of were foul words. The first time.
"Oh, you son of a bitch!" One of the last, I think, the last thing
That's like
Jim
the
ever
last
makes
thing
Rowlf say.
Rowlf ever says.
Yeah. And now we've come to the last of the Jimmy Dean sketches that we get to watch for now. It is Rowlf's Disco that aired on March 4th, 1966. Rowlf is going to those cool discotheques where they play that rock and roll music.
Yeah, which I guess back then was a place with a jukebox.
Yeah, it's a little confusing because obviously we weren't alive, but also Jimmy Dean is so uncool, and the way he's talking about it makes it seem like the worst place to possibly go.
Yeah.
That I don't know how
Where the truth is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he describes it as one of those places where they got 400 people crammed in and they play rock and roll records.
Boo, boo. And they're playing Hang On Sloopy, one of the coolest songs of all time. They have to speed it up to make it sound stupid.
Yeah, and they talk about it
Jimmy's
like it's
probably like, oh no, it's coming for me.
They talk about it like Slipknot is on the radio or something like that, where they're talking about like people screaming and like it's this terrible noisy song. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, Slipknot didn't exist back then, so they didn't have actual screaming loud music.
Slipknot would have been put to death if they existed back then.
Jimmy Dean calls for the death of Slipknot.
Live on television, and everybody would cheer. Those masks, for God's sakes, man. Terrifying.
You know, there was time in the world where Slipknot existed and Jimmy Dean was still alive. So there's a chance
He is probably so mad.
at some point in time, Jimmy Dean heard a Slipknot song.
Oh.
I'm not saying it happened. Seems pretty unlikely. But there's a chance one day in 1998 or whatever like that, Jimmy
Yeah.
Dean turned on a radio and was like, let's see what the kids are listening to these days. He's like, I never want to listen to the radio again.
Or he was like, all right. Now this is the good shit.
But yeah.
He's got a Rowlf made out of a paper bag he's been talking to for 50 years. What do you think about this, Rowlf? I think this kicks ass.
But we talked a bit about this one already. This is the one where they reference the Dean Martin records, and it is kind of just Rowlf wants to open a discotheque. Jimmy Dean doesn't want that to happen, but Rowlf needs his financing because he needs, as he says, someone dumb with money.
Dope, yeah.
Yeah. And so he recruits Jimmy Dean, and he even offers to change his vision and to only play country music. And he wants to open a Disco Texas.
Which is pretty good.
It's a pretty good joke.
That would be a good name for a bar.
I think you wouldn't get people because they'd be very confused at what you're trying to offer here.
Yeah. And you'd walk in and it would be a room with one jukebox in it and 400 people.
Then we have, February 1969 here. Rowlfin.
What happened?
I think
This has Jim's fingerprints all over it, in my opinion.
It does, and you hear him throughout. You hear his voice narrating. You even get to see him in a fancy Spirit Halloween genie costume. Almost, it looks like at one point, where he's supposed to be playing essentially like a hippie who's being fired or reprimanded because of the way he dresses at work.
Mm-hmm.
But this seemed promising at first when it opens up. Rowlf is sitting in like a newscaster's radio booth.
Which is a thing from Laugh-In. The background
yeah.
is right.
This is where he could be hosting his adventures in outer space from.
This is podcasting studio.
Yeah, he could keep the Mickey Mouse clock on the wall.
That's true.
But overall, this thing might be funny if you work at IBM, but is not funny for anyone else.
I don't know. I don't even know. Because it could have been like something written by like some suit who thinks that they know what they're talking about. Could have been written by Jim. He just got a big list of computer words and was like, yeah, I think these letters are funny. I don't know.
Yeah, or just let's keep making a joke about the empty model typewriter.
Yeah.
It's empty. Get it?
It's also 27 minutes long.
It's so long. I felt like excited when I first found this to watch because I was like, 27 minutes of new Rowlf. You know, we enjoyed those previous IBM spots he did where he like dropped the typewriter on the stairs
really
and all that stuff. But this one
He's a
is
bad
about
salesman. It's
3%
great.
Rowlf and 97% IBM employees.
Yeah, doing horrible line readings, sexism. That woman with the typewriter face, that was horrible.
Yeah, Miss Typeface 1969 or whatever like that.
Yeah.
It's just a
She's
woman
got
with
those-
like
the dies or whatever that those electric typewriters have.
she turns around
Very
and it's like a
bad.
Hellraiser, like the 60s version of Hellraiser.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, I paused it 2 minutes in and thought, how long has this been going on? Oh, okay. Yeah, if I worked somewhere and they showed me this, I'd be shaken to the core. I wouldn't trust them anymore.
I mean, yeah, imagine the Complexly version of this.
Oh, it would be so cringy. I bet they were all cringing back then. They didn't even know what cringy was, but they were cringing.
Well, then they have like you mentioned the sexism. There's like a segment throughout where they like put up a technical phrase on the screen.
You know what this is.
And they cut to a woman who's like, I don't know, maybe it's this thing. And it's like,
maybe it's a boy.
It's what I call my boyfriend. And you're like, oh my God, this is the worst.
Yep. Then the guy's like, my secretary, the guy's been hitting, he's like, my typewriter's not working. And then the technician hits it. Then he's like, my secretary's not working. And then the technician hits her.
Yeah.
So this was bad. Grover's in it for a second, too.
Kinda. It's the proto greenish yellow Grover pops out of a bag and he has Jim Henson's voice and it was very disconcerting.
Take me to your leader.
Take me to your clean leader, which I have to imagine is a typewriter reference.
Thing. Yeah, there are no jokes in this. There are only people saying computer words. And I don't even know. There's nothing even to talk about. It's just insanity.
I texted you that it felt like a fever dream, and that was about 4 minutes in when I texted you that.
And it genuinely does it so fast, and none of the jokes make any sense. So it's just like, and then music is maddening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on from that then, because that's the one thing out of this batch where I'm like, no
it
one
was
needs...
so long, though. It seems like we...
You'd think we'd have more to say. Yeah. But honestly, aside from the honorary Native American sketch on Jimmy Dean, this is the only thing I would say, don't watch this.
One of the worst things we've ever watched.
Yeah, it's like Our Place, but somehow even worse.
Yeah. I watched some Laugh-In to prepare for this, though. Laugh-In's kind of funny.
Yeah, Laugh-In's good, because it's jokes.
Yeah. And all those people seem like they're having a fun time.
These people had to do this or they were fired. But then we have our couple of 70s PBS promos. I'm not sure when these were really airing, but the first one is the Country Trio, just singing about the importance of educational TV, mentioning Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, and the Electric Company.
I liked it.
Yeah. And then the other one is Kermit and Cookie Monster, which Sam talked about earlier. Just Cookie Monster eating a bunch of super expensive equipment.
Kermit says they spend like $20,000 a week on lights.
That seems...
How many lights do they need?
Well, if Cookie Monster's eating all of them.
That's true. I guess I was thinking in realistic, like in real life.
No, this felt like the coffee machine bit where they keep mentioning how much the parts of the coffee machine cost, and Cookie Monster just keeps eating the most expensive parts. And then when they mention, like, this one can be found at any hardware store for 47 cents, he tosses it aside. He's like, I don't need that cheap crap.
I really like when Kermit's hanging out with those Sesame Street Muppets. Yeah. I love how disrespectful they are to him. The Muppets show Muppets love Kermit, and the Sesame Street Muppets think he's garbage. They know he's a boring old man.
Then we have a couple of Flip Wilson show segments that we get to watch because we had previously talked about both of these episodes, but we were not able to watch all of the episodes. So we saw things where Flip Wilson was interacting with Big Bird and Bert and Ernie at one point, and Kermit where they're doing like a Frog Prince thing. And so we talked about all of those previously when we were in this time period, but there were certain things we couldn't find back then. And now, thankfully, the I Love Trash segment with Oscar has been posted, and the entire episode with Dom DeLuise and Kermit is on shoutfactorytv.com, one of the worst streaming platforms I've ever used.
Yeah, it was very clunky, wasn't it?
Yeah, you want an ad every 5 seconds? Go to shoutfactorytv.com. The first episode was on September 17th, 1970, and this is the first time that Green Oscar ever appeared.
Oh, okay. Definitely an early rough puppet.
Yes, this is between the first and second seasons of Sesame Street when Oscar showed up with green fur and a blue eyebrow, and his head was a little bit shaped different. Like, you could tell me this wasn't Oscar, and I would believe you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you just show me a picture of this guy and say, that's Oscar the Grouch, I'd be like, yeah, but who built that? Like,
yeah, but someone's nephew built that.
Right. And yeah, they sing I Love Trash together, and it's kind of sweet. I really like Flip Wilson with the Muppets.
I like him with Oscar, especially because he's like, why you live in a trash can? And then he looks in the trash can. He's like, this is a nice trash can.
Yeah, it's really roomy in there. You got a duplex.
And he's like, guess what, Oscar? I love trash too. And I thought it was like such a weird side of Oscar that we literally never see him.
It's like the first person he's ever liked.
Yeah. Like the only person he's ever liked.
Right. Like even in the past when he's related to people, he eventually turns around at the end. And he's like, yeah, but I can't like people. So see you later, sucker.
Yeah, but Flippy's like, come hang out with me.
Yeah, call me later, dude. The other one.
Maybe everybody else is always like, trash sucks.
I mean, most people do lead with that. Like, he kind of even leads with that at first.
Yeah. He's just trying to keep people at arm's distance, though.
But But then we get to watch Dom DeLuise, Flip Wilson, and a random Muppet performed by Frank Oz pretend to be drunk for a little bit.
I wanted to hate this more than I did.
I wanted to like it more than I did.
It was not as creepy as I thought it was going to be, I guess.
No, but it's also not much of anything.
That's true.
It feels like it's going to be more, but they really hold on to the fact that they think this puppet looks like Dr. Marcus Welby.
I actually don't even know who that is.
I know it's a TV show.
No, Marcus Welby, MD.
Yeah.
All right.
But they started off by saying that this puppet looks like him. And so they call him Marcus and Doctor for the rest of this bit, which is okay. I'm sure, again, the show had been on for a couple of years at that point. Very, timely reference for them. For us, I'm like...
That's 7 seasons. I never heard of this shit in my life.
You never heard of Marcus Welby, MD?
Nope.
That's as much as I know about it, is I know it existed. But that's it. And apparently William Shatner was on it. But, yeah, it's just kind of they are sitting there being real fake drunk, and they get the hiccups. Flip Wilson's trying to scare the hiccups out of Dom DeLuise. And for most of the bit, at the beginning, this puppet that Frank is puppeteering is just laying there. Kind of looks a little like a convincing human, passed out on the bar for a while until he sits up, and everyone... I think a lot of people in the crowd also weren't entirely sure if it was a puppet or a human.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
But yeah, this one was kind of meh to me. I didn't love it. I think it didn't seem like there was a very clear character to this drunk guy.
I don't like a drunk Muppet that much either.
See, I didn't mind
the drunk as a character is very fun.
I didn't mind the Let Me In sketch they did on Carson before.
Yeah, I didn't like that one either.
And I also enjoy when the Muppets get drunk on the ABC series.
I don't remember. Oh, I do kind of.
When they do karaoke with Ed Helms.
Right.
But yeah, this I think is partially just not a very well thought out bit. And so it kind of comes through the character of like, yeah, Frank's doing his best, I think. But at the end of the day, there's not really a character for him to play there other than just like kind of drunk guy who looks like Marcus Welby.
Yeah.
Which is not a character.
That will not be a Muppet of the Week, probably.
Well, we'll see how bottom of the barrel we have to get eventually. And the last thing we watched for this week was the Country Trio on the Dick Cavett Show. We previously talked about the Dick Cavett Show when Jim and Frank and Jerry and all them were on for an entire episode, and we got to see lots of Muppets on this. But this is a follow-up episode where they brought them back just for the Country Trio performance. This was just like a little extra bit they did. And this is, we'll talk about them in just a minute because they're going to be our Muppets of the Week. But the Country Trio really does get to shine here, both in their personalities and musical performance as they perform Mama Don't Allow. And that applies to, bass, banjo picking, and bong to bong bong, whatever Frank is doing in there. And this same song was also performed on The Muppet Show when Dudley Moore did it with the Mama Robot, the R2-D2 looking thing.
Oh, right. I thought it sounded familiar.
Yeah. But the most notable part is when they bring them out afterwards, and they don't just bring them out in the way they used to do on the Mike Douglas Show, where it was like, and now we'll interview Jim Henson. They all walk out with the puppets above their heads, so the illusion is just like do. Well, especially Frank, who is like strapped to the fake bass.
Yeah, and he's kind of like, I'm stuck in this thing. I can't do anything.
Yeah, he really wants to be done by the end of this. He is ready to leave immediately. But they bring them out to talk about the puppets, and sort of, I think Dick Cavett is really kind of obsessed with the idea of like, you're puppeteering puppets that look like you. What's it like to have your hand up your own backside?
Yeah. And Jerry doesn't want to talk to him.
Which, fair. That's fine. I mean, there's a point, too, where Jim tries to show off the mechanism that lets the Jim puppet, like, play the banjo. And they're like, and commercial. Like, we gotta go.
Oh, God, he's talking about this shit again?
I think this is one of the shows where he talked previously about the editing styles. And he's like, we use really fast-paced editing to show off.
Sure. Yeah, Dick Cavett knows if you let Jim go too long, he's going to start talking about mechanisms.
Yeah. Have those commercials ready for the moment Jim says the word mechanism. But that is all we watched for this first of a couple catch-up episodes. I'm sure we'll have more, throughout the years here on Commitment that we'll have to catch up on. We do have another one in the works right now that'll probably be happening in, a month or two to catch up on some more 70s things. But for now, it's time for our Muppet of the Week. have much to say about these Muppets of the Week because it is the Country Trio. And I only want to mention them because we have now seen every one of their performances, except for one that was cut from the Sex and Violence pilot. So we have seen all of the Country Trio performances that we'll ever see at this point.
Interesting.
Yeah. They were created for the 1972 Perry Como Winter Show, where they sang You Don't Mess Around with Jim at the Weird Swingers Party in the Chalet. And then in 1973 is when they were on the Dick Cavett Show, singing Mama Don't Allow. And then this is also around the same time that they sang in the PBS promo that we watched this week. Most notably, they're on The Muppet Show a few times. In episodes 105 and 123, they sing I Want to Go Tomorrow and In the Summertime. And then later on in The Muppet Show, we see them performing without the Frank puppet, so just the country duo. They perform a four-legged friend. But that's it. They go away after that. And we never see the Country Trio again, except if you go to the Jim Henson exhibit that goes around museums, because they got them all on display there.
Right.
And yeah, you know these guys. They look like Jim, Jerry, and Frank. They're performed by Jim, Jerry, and Frank. That's really all there is to say about them. But the other notable things is that Jim's Palisades action figure that is out looks just like this puppet. So it kind of lives on in that way. And also,
I got that in my garage somewhere.
That's the one I'm most jealous of. It's like the only Palisades action figure where I'm like, I will suck it up and spend the money on eBay someday for that one.
Mm-hmm.
But also, the Country Trio Jim lives on at one point on the new Muppet Babies special, where he is seen in the background in the audience in the Muppet Theater.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And my only other note before we rate them here is that I wrote down, I think Puppet Frank seems way cooler than real Frank.
Yeah, I think so too. He's nicer.
Yeah, I think Jim and Jerry both seem like pretty accurate.
Pretty one-to-one.
Yeah. Jim's a little dumber. His country bumpkin persona he puts
Jerry
on.
actually talks to people.
Yeah. But yeah. What would you rate the Country Trio, Sam?
I think they're real cute. I think they're real weird that they even exist, that they were like, let's make puppets of ourselves.
Yeah.
I'll give them a 8.5. They're cool.
I was going to say an 8, so we're on the same page here. I think the Country Trio deserves an 8. Well, before we go, Sam, I got to ask real quick, what non-Muppet things did you enjoy or maybe not enjoy this week?
I finished Poker Face.
Hey.
I like that show.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I haven't watched it yet, no.
Oh, it's good. It's really good. The first and the last couple episodes are the best because they were directed by Ryan Johnson and written by him and stuff. But everything in between, it's just like a TV show. It's like some are good, some are not so good, but they're still fun. Yeah, it was like a really solid show. I liked it better than I liked Knives Out 2, I would say. And the last episode is crazy and fun and really weird.
All right.
And I've been playing more Fortnite too.
Well, I watched quite the spectrum this week. I watched Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, the new animated series on Disney+.
I've heard that's great.
It's really good.
Yeah.
The first episode's like 45 minutes long, unexpectedly, so we put it on as like a Saturday morning cartoon thing yesterday, and then we were like, this is still going. Not in a bad way, but like, we kind of thought this is going to be a quick little Saturday morning thing and we go do our stuff we need to do, but that was not the case, so just be prepared. But very fun, very cute show. The other thing I watched this week was Clerks 3.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Is that new?
Yeah. It just came out
I didn't even know that
a couple months ago. And it's basically a movie. It's the most meta thing Kevin Smith's ever made, and that's saying something.
Wow. That is, yeah.
Where Randall has a heart attack and almost dies, and then decides, you know what? I'm going to make a movie about our lives here working at the convenience store.
And he makes Clerks?
He makes Clerks.
That's horrible.
But it's very weird. It feels kind of half written. There's weird music choices. Like there's constant background songs in ways that like worked in Clerks because it was edgy and cool. And now it just feels like the opening of the movie, The Black Parade is the opening song and plays the entire song.
Wow. He likes that song a lot.
He's friends with Gerard Way. So he's probably able to get it pretty easily. But there's a bunch of stuff about crypto and NFTs. Like it's
already dated before it even comes out.
Yeah, like the whatever they call it, like the clean slate problem solving thing at the end of the movie has to do with NFTs. I think I laughed maybe once or twice while watching it, which is not a great ratio for a comedic film. I think it was better than the Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie they did a few years back, as far as like watchability because that one was almost unwatchable. But yeah, there are a few moments where there's just like straight up they're recreating Clerks, and those moments are kind of clever where they like he brings back almost everyone who was actually in Clerks to be in this movie. But then at the end of the movie, they literally watch parts from the original Clerks movie.
How do you make it then with
I don't know.
Okay.
He says basically like, this is how I see you. This is how I see our lives kind of thing. And so,
Ew.
yeah, it's not that fun. But you know what? It's fun, Sam, doing this podcast and watching fun Muppets.
I love it too. I agree. Someone will make a movie about us someday.
It's going to be hard to make that an exciting movie.
They'll find a way. We'll go on a road trip.
Ooh, there we go. Well, next week, we're going to be back in the fall of 1983 because we're going to be watching and discussing Sesame Street Season 15. And now we're not watching all of the season because that would be 130 hours of children's television for us to watch, and no. So instead, we are going to be watching the first episode of the season, which is episode 1836. We're also going to watch episode 1839, which is the episode where they deal with the death of Mr. Hooper, as well as the classic cuts on the Old School Volume 3 DVD, and a Best of Season 15 playlist, which is on YouTube. This is the last one, I believe, that is on an Old School Volume whatever DVD set, so we won't have any more classic cuts going forward, but thankfully these Best of playlists do seem to exist for a lot of the seasons. But before we go, we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com to pick up an enamel pin, or check out Patreon, or something else. Listen to the episodes, whatever you want to do over there, do it. But you can also email us at mail@commitment.com, and you can follow the podcast on the internet at commitmentpod, where we will tweet out the links to all the things we watch so you can watch them along with us. And you can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.